Now, page 4, that's our impeachment, not theirs. The mainstream media and both Democrat and Republican members of Congress are characterizing what is happening right now in the United States Senate over impeachment as a political battle, a partisan fight, right? That is some kind of political turf war over how impeachment should proceed. Democrats want impeachment one way, the Republicans want impeachment another. They're framing it as a typical partisan conflict between the two parties on Capitol Hill. However, is that what the framers of the Constitution would have wanted, to make this out to be just another political squabble over some rules? If the media are to be believed, then impeachment is simply another disagreement between the two major political parties. Really? Is that all this is? Well, they're wrong. Impeachment is ours. This is our Constitution. This is our House of Representatives. This is our U.S. Senate. And damn it, this is our president. This battle over the rules should not be playing out in the hallowed halls of Congress. No, it should be attended to by us, we the people. Hell, 65 million Americans voted for Donald Trump to be president of the United States. What right do Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer have to hijack the will of the people by weaponizing impeachment and turning it into a political process when it's supposed to be a constitutional maneuver of last resort? Likewise, what right do Cory Gardner and Mitt Romney and Susan Collins have to hold the future of the 45th president in their sweaty little hands? A political fight over the rules of impeachment? No. It's bigger than that. That's our president. That's everybody's president, all 330 million Americans. And these temporary politicians, in bipartisan fashion, are attempting to steal what is ours and making it theirs. Exhibit A, Senator Timmy Kaine of Virginia, Northern Virginia it should be, making impeachment all about him.
I've committed to standing by that oath, and I will not make a final decision on how I will vote on impeachment articles until all evidence has been presented.
Stop tape. Okay. So there's a couple things going on here. Number one, he's telegraphing that he, quote, wants more evidence. He knows what the evidence is. I know what the evidence is, or lack thereof. You know what the evidence is. Americans who have been paying attention know what the evidence is. Certainly members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate, know what the evidence is. So this is his not so subtle way of saying, hey, I need more evidence. Wrong. He knows what the so-called evidence is, and he knows it's weak. It's non-existent. In fact, these articles of impeachment are not. They exist nowhere in the United States Constitution. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, is being impeached for non-impeachable offenses. Obstruction of Congress doesn't exist anywhere in the Constitution of the United States. And abuse of power. Abuse of power is so vague that every president in perpetuity could be impeached for abuse of power, and every president prior to the 45th should be impeached retroactively for abuse of power. Say, for example, John F. Kennedy. We know Kennedy abused his power, especially through his brother, the Attorney General, Robert Kennedy. They spied on people, and so did Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson abused his power, and we know certainly what Barack Obama did in weaponizing the IRS. All the recent Democrat presidents weaponized the IRS to try and harm their political opponents. And we know what Barack Obama did. He weaponized his IRS to attack people like me, people who happen to stand for and stand up with the Tea Party movement and the conservative movement in this country. Is that not abuse of power? Is it not abuse of power to unleash the FBI on Martin Luther King? Is it not an abuse of power to spy on innocent Americans? Well, this is what the Kennedy administration did. This is what the Johnson administration did. The Johnson administration weaponized its internal workings of the Department of Justice to try and defeat any political opponents who were fixing to run against Lyndon Johnson. That's abuse of power in black and white, in no uncertain terms. What this president has done does not rise to abuse of power. He was simply having a phone call with a foreign head of state, asking the foreign head of state, hey, could you look into some potentially criminal matters? How is that abuse of power? It's the Democrats like Tim Kaine who are going on television saying, well, he wanted to force a foreign head of state to do some political damage on his behalf to somehow harm his political opponent who's running for president of the United States in the 2020 election cycle. That is a leap. That is not what transpired. Most of us have read the transcript. That is not what the President of the United States was seeking. He was seeking to, number one, find out if this new administration in Ukraine was corrupt. And number two, if it's not corrupt, then hey, why don't you look into this matter? Whether it had Joe Biden's name on it or anybody's name on it. It is the proper thing for the President of the United States to do, to ask a foreign head of state if, number one, are you still corrupt? Because we know Ukraine was corrupt. And number two, could you look into this potentially criminal matter? I firmly believe that what Joe Biden did as Vice President of the United States violated the Emoluments Clause of the United States Constitution. It deserves to be investigated. So Tim Kaine knows what he's doing here. He's trying to get live witnesses before the United States Senate in this trial, which has never been done before in recent history. In 1999, they did not have live witnesses. They had a couple, 3 depositions to follow up. That's it. But think about it. The framers of the Constitution set up impeachment for the House of Representatives to frame the case, to make the case. And when they're done, if there are articles of impeachment, then they're moved over to the Senate for the trial. And the trial is conducted by the judge, jury, and the court. And the Senate is all 3, the judge, jury, and the court. Have you ever heard of a judge saying, hey, we need to call a witness after the case has been made by the prosecution? No. But that's effectively what Tim Kaine and Chuck Schumer and company are screaming for. So keep in mind, during this impeachment trial, that this is not some form of political gamesmanship. This is all about us. It's all about we the people. These 100 senators are ostensibly speaking for 330 million Americans. It's not about them. It's about our Constitution that belongs to us and not a bunch of short-sighted, selfish, temporary politicians.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.